It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting, either through my website, emailrevealer.com, or you just contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. Now, if you like the show, be sure and check out our Patreon. Everything you hear Monday to Friday on AM/FM radio, you can find on the Patreon with all the commercials and the ads cut out. So if you miss a show one night, you can go to Patreon there and find all the shows that are throughout the week. Our archives are always free at Spreaker.com. Do a live show there Friday night, exclusive to the Spreaker audience, to the podcast audience. And I put up play repeats every single night. And also, too, there's a chat room, and you get an email notification when I put up new content. So it's a good thing to check out and sign up there to Spreaker.com. Our guest today is Orlando Ori Spado. Now, he's written a book about his life called The Accidental Gangster. From insurance salesman to mob boss of Hollywood. Now, you can find him at his website there, theaccidentalgangster.com. And if you go there, you get an autographed copy of the book. And you can also find him, too, on Instagram at The Accidental Gangster. Mr. Ori Spado, are you there?
I'm here, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much, because, we just arranged this yesterday, so thanks for coming on so soon. Before we get into your book and your whole life, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Ori Spado today?
Today, Ori Spado is a reformed gangster. After getting out of prison at the age of 68 years old, I changed my life around, wrote a book, and I've been mentoring young men and women to stay out of a life of crime. In addition, I teach them to get into something, all right, that they love doing, have a passion for, because if they do a business or a job that they love doing, they're going to be happy and they'll be successful. And that's the whole element of life, isn't it?
Definitely. I agree with you 100%. But now, did you just say that you got out of prison at 68?
Yes.
Oh, brother, I'm 60. Okay. Now, and how long were you in there?
5 years. I got arrested at the age of 63 on a Colombo crime family indictment. In 1997, an FBI agent said, "I will see the day you are chained, shackled, and put on Con Air and brought to Brooklyn." 11 years later, 11, he made it a reality.
That had to be really rough. That's the first time you did time at 63?
Yeah, I did 62 months. Everything in life you do is a mindset. I knew the day would come that I would get arrested. I was arrested a couple other times, but, I knew eventually something would happen. I didn't not think it would be on a Colombo crime family indictment. But it did. And, right away, you've got to change your mindset and accept it for what it is. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable. And, that's what I did.
And what were the charges?
I was facing life. There was a conspiracy. And I like to reiterate that. A conspiracy. There was never one grain of cocaine. But an informant began it, and it was 50 kilos of cocaine or more distributed, and there was no cocaine. The other one was a home invasion robbery. They said that I set it up in Burbank, California. So I had, on a RICO, you need 2 predicate acts, and they both came from informants. I got very fortunate where the informant on the cocaine, he did so bad on a trial before ours, they didn't want to use him at mine. So I was able to get a plea deal. I pled to I accepted a plea deal in 97 months. But when I went for sentencing, my judge, Judge Brian Colgan, of the Eastern District of New York, told the U.S. attorney, he says, you charged Mr. Spado twice for the same crime. His sentence is 62 months. So moving from 97 to 62 months, that was, forget about it, it was a big break.
Yeah, from that perspective, yeah. But then again, going in at 63 years old, I don't know what your health is like, but I'm falling apart. Now,
well, look, at my co-defendant was Sonny Franchise.
Okay.
And Sonny was in his 90s.
Now,
yeah, Sonny got out at the age of 100.
Is he alive now?
Sonny, by the time he finished with his time, he was 100 years old.
What is the story with Michael Franchise? Did he testify against his father or some kind of deal?
No, that was John Franchise.
Oh, okay.
The other son.
Okay.
That was John. He testified against his father, me, and a bunch of others.
Gotcha. Okay. I conflated that then. Now, my understanding, because I'm from New York, from Staten Island, and I worked for a private investigator in Brooklyn who worked on the Carmine Persico case. The one where he was in the diner and he waved at that guy and he got charged with the he waved at a guy and they charged him with the loan sharking, well, that was another conspiracy case. But so you're telling me that the Colombo family, which I recognize as being Brooklyn, also operated in Los Angeles?
Well, I was known as our guy in Hollywood. Yeah, I'm also known as the Hollywood fixer or the real Ray Donovan. I mean, there were a few others like me, but, I handle problems for celebrities, studios, agents, lawyers, etc.
Okay, so then how'd you wind up? You were working insurance? How'd you wind up working with the Franchise family?
Well, it's in my book, The Accidental Gangster. I explain how that happened. My first indictment came out as a result of the insurance business, and I got 5 years probation. And because of the fact that I knew Sonny Franchise and Meyer Lansky, they tried to make that a organized crime case, but they couldn't. So there was no way, because they weren't involved anyway. It was just that I knew them both. How I got to meet Sonny was a very dear friend of mine. I was a distributor for a company called Polyglycol, beginning there in New York, actually in Westchester County. I was owned by a guy named Walter Feisen. I had everything from New York, from the Tappan Zee Bridge to the Niagara Falls. And Walter and Sonny's other son, Michael, was related to somebody, and they had Walter gave them a franchise on Long Island. And they were stealing warranties from the Home Office and selling another product and calling it Polyglycol. And Walter was getting claims on warranties that he never issued. And then when he found out about it, he threatened to take it, and he started getting death threats. And I was at my place. I had a place in Pompano Beach, Florida. Walter was at his place in Boca Raton. He used to call me up. Walter always called me kid. Those were the days when I was young. And, hey, kitty, and he tells me he's getting these death threats. I said, Walter, pay no attention to him. Nobody's going to fucking call you. Oop, like that.
Don't worry.
Nobody's going to call you up and threaten you. Don't even worry about it. So he asked me to fly into New York to close Victor Potapkin Cadillac. I'm sure you heard of Victor.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I flew in. We all met at Victor's office. We closed the deal. Victor was a very sharp guy, very dapper, nice guy. We closed the deal, and then Victor took us all to Club 21 for lunch. And while we're having lunch, Walter went to the phone to call his office. Come back, he's white as a ghost. And he says, "Kid, I know you're wired, and would you stay in New York and find out what this is?" So I made a few phone calls, and a friend of ours, Lou Perry, called me up, said, "I'm going to pick you up at your hotel at 7. And we went to a restaurant on 2nd Avenue, Trattoria Siciliana, which was owned by Sonny Francese's son-in-law, Eugene. And there I met Sonny. He was with his wife, Tina, his son, Johnny, his daughter, Tina. And we sat together, Sonny and I, and I explained what the problem was. And they never forgot me because I got allergic to a fish there. I am allergic to fish, certain fishes, and just happened to eat one of them. I got very violently ill. I was on the toilet, and then I'm on 2nd Avenue. Oh, man, it was horrible. And Sonny had 2 of his guys take me to the hospital. Those guys were Johnny Irish, Johnny Matera, his real name was, and Red Krabby. Got out of the hospital, they took me to my hotel. I went back to Florida because Sonny said he would look into it. When I got back, I was moving to New York because I took over. Walter wanted me to clean up the 5 boroughs, and we had offices out in Long Island. So when I got back, I get the call that Sonny wanted a meeting. And he found out who it was, and it happened to be his son, Michael Franchise. We had to sit down at the Russian tea room. And we took care of the situation. And when we walked out, because I said something to Sonny when we sit down, where he looked at me with the coldest eye you ever saw in your life. He said, "I'm going to forget what you said because you're young." He said, "Don't say another word." And I didn't. Trust me, after the look I got for him. But when we got through with the sit down, we're all standing out in front of the Russian tea room on 57th Street. And Sonny grabbed me by the arm, and we walked down to 57th and Broadway. He says, "Kid, you got a lot of balls. I like you," he says. "But now when you're with me," he says, "you got permission to use my name anytime, anywhere. Don't worry about it." He says, "and I want you and your family to come to my home for Christmas."
Oh.
And that's how we met. We became friends right up until his death. And he died at the age of 103 years old, 2 years ago, last February.
Now, were you in your insurance business? Were you using the same kind of strong arm tactics that you were using in the other business?
No, I never really used strong arm tactics unless it was absolutely necessary. But no, not in my business. In my insurance business, I provided a service to automobile dealers where I helped them increase their finance. I was a pioneer in the automotive after-sale business. I'm one of the guys, particularly in the state of New York, responsible that when you go into a car dealership, okay, a salesman will demo the car. All he is a demo guy today. After he demos the car, he should meet my finance manager, my general manager. They got all different names for him. And these guys will sell you the credit, finance the car, sell you the credit, life, and accident and health, sell you the paint sealant, the rust proofing, the auto alarm, and keep adding on because they're all profit centers. And I taught dealers back in those days how to sell a car at cost and still make $2,000 a car. So I had over 250 automobile dealers as clients in the state of New York. So I was well known, and it was a great business. And
Now, you mentioned earlier, right? You said that this guy was getting threats over the phone, and you said, don't worry, no one's going to really do anything if they're threatening you over the phone. Explain to the audience what you mean by that. Because I get a lot of threats over the phone. Okay, explain to the audience.
well, with somebody, look, if somebody's going to really kill you, you got to understand, in the life, you know what, when I say in the life, that's the life of La Cosa Nostra, okay? You don't tell somebody you're going to fucking kill them. Well, I said it again.
Don't worry, we'll cut it out.
All right, if somebody's going to die, they just do it. You don't tell them, okay?
Yeah, so when you actually get a phone threat, you don't take it as seriously as you start seeing somebody following you. You have a second thought then.
Yeah, not like 99.9% of the time, unless it's really some crackpot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you don't have to worry. It's just somebody that gets upset with something you did, and people have a tendency to say those words. You don't hear those. You don't hear them words coming from somebody like me or my friends in New York.
So then what made you move out to California?
The sun. I grew up in Rome, New York, upstate New York. You got lucky to see the sun 2 months a year. It was always cold. It was horrible. And I always wanted to get out of there. And when I joined the Army at the age of 18, I ended up stationed in Hawaii. And I just always wanted to be sunny weather. Now, I've been out here almost 50 years. We just went through the worst winter I've ever seen in my life. Right now, you can't even see the sky. It's raining. Cold. We got New York weather now. So something definitely is happening in the climate.
Yeah, they got those crazy snowstorms. I get calls all the time and emails about people stranded out there in San Bernardino with this crazy snowstorm.
They're still finding people.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah, and now with this rain we're getting, they're afraid that it's going to melt the snow too quickly and might cause other flooding. So I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's a disaster. So now, so you go out to California for the weather, and what, did you drop your insurance business and get straight into crime, or what?
No, I got indicted.
Okay.
I got indicted. Another indictment should never have taken place. But somebody tried to take over somebody very close to me. It's always going to be somebody close to you that's going to try to screw with you. And in this case, it was a guy that was making a lot of money with me. And I had a private deal with the insurance company allowing me to use the float of the premiums to build my business. And that would have been the year I would have paid it off. It was back then in 70, it was $385,000. But he tried something, and it didn't work for him, but it got me in trouble. And I ended up losing my insurance license. I got indicted in Syracuse Federal Court, 11 counts of mail fraud, and I got 5 years probation on that one.
So one of the things, you want the audience to know that you're reformed now, and you're trying to get kids to go straight and not cause trouble, right? You've lived an interesting life, right? But a lot of legal fees. You had to do 6 years in prison. How would you encourage kids to stay out of crime?
Well, different children, I use different things. But you got to realize most of these kids are members of the gang. And, it's like when I was groomed into La Cosa Nostra, it was done in such a way I didn't even know it. You know what I mean? But in these kids today, they come from a family normally of a single mother. the mother's out trying to put money on the table. Put food on the table, and the kids get involved with their friends, and those friends are gang members, and they call that a family.
Mm.
And so a lot of times when I mentor these young men, the first thing I ask is I want to find out what their issues are, what their problems, how it happened. Then I talk to the parents. Because it's got to be a joint effort with the parents. And a lot of times I have to teach parents how to be a mother or father. And spend time with their children. Quality time.
And so, like, with this work you're doing now, is there any compensation for this?
No.
Is that how you make a living now?
I do that absolutely free. I'm involved in the entertainment business. Okay, I still handle problems for people in the entertainment. It's a legitimate business. You know, sitting down and negotiating with people.
Gotcha.
That's honest business. I have we had a TV show in the works. A gentleman named Frank Vanessa. You can Google him. He's the most decorated DEA agent in history. It's called The Chameleon. He went undercover all 5 crime families in New York, plus Detroit and Philadelphia and Sicily. He brought down the pizza connection. He went undercover in a federal prison and brought down a big gun smuggling ring. The guy is just amazing. So that's a TV show that we have in the works. We have, of course, they're doing a movie after my book. George Gallo is writing the script, and he's going to be directing the movie. And it's going to be the most different gangster movie you've ever seen. I can tell you the beginning. I'm 12 years old in Rome, New York. And I'm in a toy store. And there's a mother with her daughter who's 9 years old. And the daughter wants the Barbie doll. And the mother explains they can't afford it. And the little girl is crying. So at the age of 12, I do the noble thing that I think anybody would do. I stole the doll and gave it to her. Fast forward, that girl becomes the FBI agent. The dog's name. From there, it's going to be. If you read my book, you'll see that I do love women. I've had several in my lifetime, and I still do at the age of 78. Thank the Lord. And
yeah, George Gallo's done a lot of good stuff. Midnight Run and Bad Boys. He's done a lot of good movies.
yeah.
And all this is in your book, The Accidental Gangster. Where is that there? From insurance salesman to mob boss of Hollywood. So now, what kind of stuff? You said you're a fixer. You're fixing problems over there in Hollywood for attorneys and, I guess, producers and stuff. What kind of stuff did you get into?
Oh, it could be anything. An actor is giving the director a hard time on the set, which is causing the budget to increase and stalling things. And, they would call upon me, and I would go and sit down with that actor and explain to him that he's the actor, the other guy's the director. And I explain it, why. So I handle everything within 15 minutes. And I've been very successful at that. There could be other things there. You might read the paper that so and so and so I get a big divorce, and it sounds really messy, and then all of a sudden you don't hear nothing about it. And when you don't hear nothing about it, more than likely I got called in. And I sit down with the husband and wife, and and get them to settle down and stop the fighting. A lot of things. You never know what the situation's going to be. I have to analyze every situation and know who I'm dealing with. Or I have to find out their personality. And as far as actors and actresses, it's very easy to figure out the personality. But it's a nice, rewarding thing to be doing.
And when
Not
you're
everybody.
and when you're sitting down and having these conversations with these people, does the name Sonny Frances or the Colombo crime family ever come up in the conversation?
Not one single time.
Never. Okay. Well, that's good to hear.
Only, you know what? There was one time, but it didn't come up because of me. Sonny's wife had a deal with Universal on a film called One Free Murder. And it was written by Jack Newman. I think he was with the New York Post. One Free Murder. And they were already paid a lot of money from Universal. And they were going to have Sylvester Stallone play Sonny. So they had a 4 or 5 picture deal with Stallone. So he got $2 million right off the top. And the movie never happened. And then the guy who had the script at Universal was making a move, which happens every day in Hollywood. They go from one studio to the next. And he was going to Paramount. And he got Universal allowed him to take that script with him. Then if it ever got made, they would have had to pay Universal $3 million because that's how much Universal would put out. Now, when the guy went to Universal, Tina found out, and she called up and threatened the guy and wanted more money. And the guy got scared because Tina says, I'll have my husband send his friends out there. Well, I knew Tina very well. And the guy got nervous. He called Jack Gilardi. Jack called me. I said, Jack, don't worry about it. I handle it. And I called Sonny. I said, what the hell is going on here? Hey, buddy, you know how she is, but she ain't wrong. I know you got the connections to get her a few more bucks. And through my lawyer and Jack Gilardi, I used them to negotiate the deal. And we got her an extra $50,000. But that's the only time the Sonny name was ever involved in anything that I had done. I never went around telling people, hey, I'm with Sonny Frances. Because you got to remember something. Here in Los Angeles, my closest friend was Jimmy Cacci. Jimmy Cacci was the underboss of Los Angeles and the boss of Palm Springs, California. So here it is. I'm a guy that, I mean, look, you should have heard, Sonny, you're with me. Freak that Jimmy Cacci and Jimmy Cacci. You're with me. Freak Sonny. It was a crazy thing. I lived a crazy life, but I'm happy, and it was my destiny. And I take full responsibility for everything I've done in my life, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, I feel that everything happened in my life was my destiny, which brought me to what I'm doing now, which is making me very happy, helping other people.
And you said you're 73?
I'm 78.
78. Okay. I was going to give you 5 more years there. Okay, so you're 78.
I'm 78 going on 21.
Yeah. And now at 78, so you're still working at 78. Did you save any money from your life of crime?
I got out of prison with $120 in my pocket. So that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I live in Beverly Hills, so obviously I do okay.
I'm doing okay. I see you got that 3101 area code there. What prison were you in?
I was in MDC Brooklyn, for 30 months, and after I got sentenced, I was transferred to Lompoc in Northern California.
That's the same MDC where Epstein died, right? Or he was at MDC Manhattan?
Where was Epstein was in Manhattan.
Okay.
He was in the Southern District.
Okay.
Lompoc was the same prison Carmen Persico was in.
I was just about to ask you about Carmine Persico. So did you have any dealings with Persico or Paul Baresi, those kind of guys?
No, I never had any dealings with them. Of course, his name came up quite often, but, no, I never had any dealings with Carmen personally.
But how about Paul Baresi?
Who?
Paul Baresi?
Paul Berthi?
Baresi, Beressi, something like that? Because he worked for Persico.
I don't know that name either.
Because he's another like Hollywood fixer type guy. He was just working on the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case. Anyway, so Edwin, have you ever been hired to like as a consultant on any of these organized crime films about the authenticity?
No, they're about to. I'm about to be an actor in a movie on Carlo Gambino that George Gallo and Nick Valeno had written a dynamite script, and is being produced by Jews Nassau. It's going to be it's like a $60 million budget, and they're in the process of casting it right now. And George wants me to be an actor. And they're going to film a lot of it in Italy because the Italians are involved over there. And it's a big tax credit that you get over there. And so George said, you'll be coming, you'll be there for the whole time we shoot. I want you in the film because of my looks and my voice. And I said, oh, George, I said, let me play Albert Anastasia. I want to play him. So we'll see what's going to happen. I'm excited about it.
So out of all the organized crime movies people see, which ones do you think are the most authentic and which ones are just ridiculous?
I think the most authentic is Goodfellas. And that had Goodfellas, Casino. Both of those were written by my very dear friend Nick Pileggi. And right now, they're probably just wrapping up the filming of the movie on Frank Costello with Robert De Niro. They were filming in Cincinnati. And Robert De Niro is going to be playing both Frank Costello and Vito Genovese. And it's being produced by Erwin Winkler, written by Nick Pileggi, directed by Aronson. So you got some good films coming out, folks. Nick Pileggi, he was a reporter back in New York. He attended a lot of the trials on all these guys, the old days. He grew up in a neighborhood. Nick is probably one of the best historians that I know of in the mob. And while he was writing to Frank Costello, he and I talked a couple of times a week, and we talked and discussed different things about Frank and other gangsters. So I'm very excited for Nick. I arranged the lunch. I had Nick Pileggi, I had George Gallo, and I had Nick Valenoga, and my son. We all had lunch together. With also 4.5 hours we were there, putting these three great writers together. How the heck I did it? Sometimes I amaze myself.
Hey, so they say that if people can make it on the outside, that they'll make it. They get along good in prison. How was your time in prison?
My time in prison wasn't bad at all. I mean, it's always better being out, but I was highly respected. Like anybody who's not an informant in prison is respected. And, you keep your mouth shut. You just do what you got to do. In my case, I read over 300 books. I've been an avid reader all my life. And walked the yard. I was walking 7 miles a day.
Back in the 80s when I was in New York, I had to go to MDC Manhattan a couple of times. I had a reputation for a lot of corruption in that jail. What about yours? Was there a lot of contraband?
Oh, they're all pretty good.
Well, tell the audience.
Well, first of all, you got to realize, okay, cigarettes. Well, now in New York, they're freaking really expensive. Yeah. But, most of the cigarettes are brought in by the guards because there's big money in it. And so you got cigarettes, there are guys that make their booze, cell phones. Now in Lompoc, it was impossible to get cell phones on. But like Fort Dix, I heard like everybody had a cell phone there at one time. People would just go and throw food and throw phones over the fence over there because they're so close to the city, Lompoc, we weren't close to nothing, so it was tough up there.
Yeah, I think it was Dan Moore where they had that escape, and they were doing a live news report out in front, and you see a bucket being lowered from a rope. This guy drops out in front of the prison. This guy drops something in the bucket, and they pull it back up right on live TV.
Yeah,
it's incredible. And so, did you have any funny stories in prison?
It was fun. I'll tell you what happened. When I got transferred out from Brooklyn to here, put on Con Air. Never forget that day leaving MDC Brooklyn. It was so cold. Here you are on a bus in just a T-shirt. It's freezing outside. It was December 16th. It was freezing, and we had to stop at the Southern District prison there that you were talking about, pick up inmates from there, and then you're driven to Stewart Air Base near Newburgh. And that's where Con Air flies in and out of. And the marshals around the plane, it's a big how do you do. And from all the prisons, all the buses and inmates get on a bus, off, and so forth. And then I was brought into Oklahoma, and then the next day, December 17th, they fly me in to Victorville. That's where the plane lands, Con Air lands here. And on December 17th is my birthday. I'll never forget walking out of that plane at Con Air and seeing the sun and being back in sunny California. And, here in my head, I think I'm going to be put on a bus and driven up to Lompoc. And I wanted to kiss the ground when I got there. Instead of being brought to Lompoc, they put me in Victorville. Now, Victorville is a high-security prison. And most people who drive by Victorville just get scared just looking at the place. Mm-hmm. They put me there for over a month. But finally, they took me out of there, and we drove up to Lompoc. And I remember there were 15 of us getting off the bus. And you go through this little area and there's the guards behind the big bulletproof thing. And each inmate's got to give their name and their inmate number. And I'm the last guy there. And everybody gives their name and inmate number. When it gets to me, before I could open my mouth, the guard says, "Now everybody, you see that gentleman in the back? His name is Ori Spado. He's from the Colombo crime family, and the mob boss of Hollywood. I was amazed. I said, what the hell is this? That's how my time at Lompoc began. And funny story, when you go through an R&D, you got these papers you got to fill out. There's one question. Are you a member of La Cosa Nostra, any gangs or anything? I mark it no. And now I'm back you're waiting inside the jail. And a little guard comes to me. Hey, Spado, come here. Spado, come here. I said, well, what's wrong, officer? You answered a question wrong here. I said, what question? This question. I said, no, I answered that right. No, come with me. Takes me in an office. He says, Spado, you answered that question wrong. You're a member of the mafia. I said, what are you talking about, the mafia? I don't even know what it is, I said. I said, that only exists in the minds of the U.S. attorneys. I said, that answer is no. And I walked off. I thought that was funny.
Well, that brings up because I grew up on Staten Island, okay, and when I grew up in Staten Island in the '70s, we were taught there is no mafia. Back in those days, there's no such thing as a mafia. What are you talking about? And you see the guy's name in the paper the next day. Okay, so how do you feel about today? These guys come out and they're making podcasts and stuff like that, and they're pretty much talking about. Well, what do you make of that?
Look at the first one really out doing all those things was Michael Frank Chase, and he built up. He's got over 1 million subscribers, and everybody wants to target Michael, and try to take them down to build up their podcast. Okay, if you look at most of these podcasts, they're all run by other people that were all informants. You don't see me out there talking about all the crime and stuff that I did and that there. Okay? I am in the process of doing a thing called Stories with Ori, and we got a lot of filming in the can right now. And it's going to be developed into a TV show after my film. And Stories with Ori, where my sidekick is a lovely gal from Columbus, Ohio area, and we've been to different locations, and I talk about what I did at this location, okay? And one of the things we actually filmed was my theory of being one in the room of at Bugsy Siegel's home over here in Beverly Hills. He got shot, why he got shot, who approved the hit. So, but the thing is, I'm telling these stories, and then I don't want you to do these things. I'm telling you these because all this here, all the things I done, is what put me in prison. Don't do what I did. You can't get away with things today. Everybody's got a cell phone in their hand.
Yeah, that's so true.
There's cameras on the streets, okay? You're going to get caught. You're either going to die or go to jail. And that's all. The only thing, everybody's going to get caught. Very few get away with a crime. You're from Staten Island. I can tell you a story.
Okay. Wait, but Ori, 1 second. Make sure you talk right into the phone, though, because sometimes you drift in and out.
Oh. When they offered me the 97-month plea deal, I was ready to turn it down. And we were in the bullpen in Brooklyn in the courthouse there on Court Street. And a friend of mine from Staten Island was there, Tico. Antico, his name is. We were another family. I said, I'm not. He looked at me. He says, Spado, take that plea deal. If you go to trial, they'll shut your lights out. He said, you've been here 30 months. You take 97 months. You take off your good time. You will see daylight. And I'll never forget those words. And you got to thank him for that. He was a great guy. But he was from Staten Island. And, Chico, if he didn't tell me that, I would have gone to trial, and you wouldn't be talking to me now.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be in prison.
We're talking to Ori Spado. The book is The Accidental Gangster, From Insurance Salesman to Mob Boss of Hollywood. And once again, the website is theaccidentalgangster.com. You can also find him on Instagram at The Accidental Gangster. Now, you mentioned earlier that one of your charges involved cocaine. Now, the average, I guess a few years back, maybe 10 years ago, the average person would think that organized crime, mafia, the New York families weren't involved, weren't allowed to deal cocaine. What's the real facts?
All right. I'm going to give you Ori Spado's version.
There you go.
Of this. What people don't realize, and let's go back to when the commission was formed, and one of the original guys of the commission was Joe Bonanno. Joe Bonanno took Carmen Galante to Sicily and made all the arrangements, and he became the biggest heroin importer in this country. So it was the boss that did it, but yet they got a rule nobody could. All right?
Right.
And, I was shipping 500 pounds of weed into New York every 2 weeks. Had a private pilot, the whole works. But I didn't tell the guys I was selling it to were, I call them leftover hippies. They all knew who I was. They said, Ori, don't bring your friends into this here. And I never told anybody I was doing. But there was one guy who sold to somebody into another family and ended up mentioning my name. That guy went to his boss, who went to Sonny, and said, Ori, dealing weed there in New York. And I got a call from Sonny. Hey, buddy, And I had to meet him at a restaurant, then we walked outside and, walk and talk situation. And I denied it. But they didn't care if they see the money. But you got to be very careful. If you admit it, you do stand a chance of dying for it. So deny.
Real quick, what year was this you were bringing all this pot into New York?
From in the 2000s, early 2000s.
Okay, just recent then, okay. Because like in the 80s, the Colombo family was dealing marijuana. Scarpa, and they had 3 spots in Staten Island dealing tons of pot.
Everybody did. Come on.
Yeah.
It's a big mistake.
Everybody? I don't know about everybody. Okay. Yeah, but they were openly doing it, though, in the 80s.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys. I know a lot in prison. A lot of them told me, wish I knew you, Ori.
So, Ori, we're almost out of time. What do you want to leave us with?
I want to wish everybody the best. And, I always tell everybody, I'm a firm believer that we got a lot of problems in this country and in the world. But in order to make the world a better place, okay, we can't be dependent on these people in the U.S. House of Representatives because they don't care for us. But together, if we all join hands together, we all can make this world a better place. And I say that in the epilogue of my book, The Accidental Gangster. And I mean that. It takes the people to make the changes. We can't rely on these, these people. People don't realize that, why do they call them lawmakers? They're all lawmakers. They are all prosecutors. A majority of them are prosecutors. You do not see a criminal defense attorney being a congressman or a senator. Prosecutors. Because that office of a prosecutor is a stepping stone into politics, and that's why they do it. And then they make all these ridiculous laws. We got to change these laws that we have in this country. Okay, this conspiracy. The conspiracy for me to commit cocaine began with an informant, Guy Furtado, sitting on my couch when I was doing somebody else a favor who was in prison because he was owed money on the streets in Brooklyn. And his wife came in with the two Mexicans they owed $500,000 to. And he starts talking to the Mexican that he wants them to give me 50 kilos every 2 weeks. And that he's got the transportation. Well, they're not going to give it to you on the cuff. They already got $500,000 they got to get back. Okay? But now he goes back and he tells the captain of the family that we're going to make all this money with Ori Spado. All right? Ori bringing 50 kilos of coke in. All right? It never happened. Ori Spado was not going to do it. But now he's got the captain. Sonny was my friend. I never talked to the captain about anything I was doing. Talked to Sonny about it. Now, here's the captain thinking that all this money's coming. No, it's not happening. So the captain tells Furtado, what's going on with that deal with Spado? Now the informant makes up a thing. I think Spado's doing the deal and not paying us nothing, which created another problem. But now, who got indicted on the cocaine conspiracy? Me and the captain.
Yeah, we really have to overhaul this whole informant situation with these informants. It's the whole way we prosecute these cases and investigate these cases is all backwards. But Mr. Spado, we are out of time. Once again, the book is The Accidental Gangster, From Insurance Salesman to Mob Boss of Hollywood. You can get it either on the website, theaccidentalgangster.com, or on Amazon. And it's co-written by Denny Griffin, who's been on the show a couple of times, too. So you know it's good quality work there.
That was the first book. Denny Griffin was, actually, we were both from Rome, New York. And, but no, my latest book is just written by me.
Gotcha.
Okay. That was the first book with Dennis. Dennis passed away,
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah, he passed away 2 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, because I left Vegas. I used to know him in Vegas. But Ori, we are out of time. Thank you so much. When the movie comes out, give us a call. We'll put you right back on the show.
Thank you, my friend. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
God bless.
Good night.